Okay, welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. We're going to do an update on the broader markets today. The S&P, we're going to look at QQQ, IWM, and we'll also look at DIA, which represents the Dow, since I think at this point it's important to look for dispersion between the indices. And if we have time, we'll also look at SMH, so the semiconductor index. So we'll start with the S&P, start with the daily chart. And so we did get a swing low. So Thursday, November 3rd is now a swing low. That's day 15 of the daily cycle. And so that's telling us that we maybe are going to go try to retest this high here at 39.11.79, right? Now, this last 3 days weren't easy to trade. And I'm just saying that I wasn't trying into in real time, really did not at the time. But like just looking at this candle, for instance, that's an ugly day, that doji, right? This is a really ugly day, right? This doji, dragonfly, whatever you want to call it. So this certainly could be a bear flag of this thing. And we're going to see that. The CPI number on Thursday morning, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m., I should say, is going to tell us. If we do get a bullish reaction, be aware that we have this gap above here. All of this, we could come up, fill this gap, and then still fail, still have that become a lower high of this and that and that. So do be aware of that. It doesn't mean that we're kind of out of the woods in terms of like a long-term cycle by any means. And so let's flip over to the weekly chart. We still have our high for the weekly cycle on week 3 so far. And this is just an inside week. That's important to make sure that you're aware of, right? Like we are inside the range of last week, right? Last week's candle had a low of 36.98 and a high of 39.11. And so clearly the CPI is going to break us out in one direction or the other, right? Are we going to go above 39.11 or are we going to go below 3,700 more or less, right? That makes it really simple in a way. And we're trading here, we closed at 38.28. So that's important to be aware of. Just an inside week. Which way do we resolve? And obviously we'll look for clue. You look for the daily time frame to kind of to tell you what direction we're going to move in. And on CPI day, you'd obviously go even lower to even lower time frames. And if we look at the monthly chart, nice move lower on this monthly chart, just a nice little downtrend. And now you get your question. Is this trying to set up a little rally up to make this a swing low? That's the potential move here. This teal line, also be aware, is a 50-month moving average. So we didn't close below it last month. We dipped below it ever so briefly. And so that does tell you, well, hey, maybe we are going to close below it. Maybe this isn't our final low. Obviously, that CPI number this week is going to be pivotal, like every single last one has been, to tell us, are we going to get that furious move higher, or are we going to continue this downtrend into the 3-year cycle low in early 2023? That's what will be revealed to all. So let's move over to the QQQ. Same idea, different specific levels. And for the Qs, we actually topped out on day 8 versus day 13. So much more bearish, just couldn't make that higher high. Like it couldn't even make an equivalent high, right? And so this to me tells me if we do see weakness in the market, this thing is going to fall more than SPX. So you're definitely inclined to take a short on this one over SPY. Again, if we see general weakness. And on the weekly chart, same idea. We're an inside week. That range is 282 to 259. That's a pretty wide range, but that's the range that we find ourselves in. Important to be aware of that. And on the monthly chart, we are red, not looking great. Certainly looks like we're continuing the downtrend. But what I will say is the CPI could really change things dramatically. The monthly candle, that's another thing to be aware of, opened at 281.50. Why is that important? Because it means if we can make a move above 281.50, this monthly candle goes green, right? Let's observe what that level is on SPX. So on SPX, the monthly candle opened at 39.01.79, right? And notice that's the high for the week. Or I should say, getting above the high for this week at 39.11, or last week, will get us above the monthly high open, which means the month will go green. That's important. We need the month to go green in order to begin a monthly, in order to reverse the monthly downtrend, right? We need green months making higher highs to reverse a downtrend, right? I mean, in general, you need green candles making higher highs to reverse a downtrend. That's a really easy way to kind of think about it. So we looked at the QQQ. Let's look at IWM. We'll stick to the monthly. Same kind of idea. So for IWM, that opening price is $185.24, right? $185.24. We have to get above that to get the month green. That's what we need to reverse the downtrend on the monthly. And for DIA, I bet one of these things doesn't look like the other. See, told you, right? This month is already green, right? It was red. We know that because we have this lower wick, but now we're green. It's a nice little hammer. And what is it also doing? It's making a higher high. This is exactly what I was just talking about. The Dow is leading the other indices. We have a monthly swing low, folks. That, in this case, let's see. The low for October was 286. The low for September was 287. So that would make right, because it was a bullish outside candle for October. And we're now getting followed through. Now, of course, as with everything, the CPI is going to tell us everything, but this could be telling us that we have a long-term bottom in place. Now, there's a lot of month to trade, so this candle could reverse violently, but all things being equal, we're going to try to test this high here at 343, and we're here at 331. So that's a nice little bit of upside. Also tells you, you'll want to see how we react to that level. Does it back off violently? That's going to tell you a lot. So that's interesting. And let's zoom in on the Dow a little bit, actually, now that we know that it's the most bullish of the four indices. So we had that move lower like the other indices, but now we've made, you see, we came down. This swing low now has already made a higher high. That's nice. That's interesting. So that's your daily. And on the weekly, right? So like all the other indices, we have our weekly cycle low on week 17. And now we've just pushed higher. So week 1, week 2, week 3, now week 4. So we have a new high on the weekly cycle for week 4. So this is always that awkward part where it's like, okay, is this leading the other indices higher, or are the other indices going to pull this lower? And luckily, we have the CPI number coming out this week. So that should tell us, and you can see that level on the monthly chart showing up on the weekly, that 343. Very clear structurally what we need to do there. So that's exciting. The Dow is looking like it's leading everything. Now, again, does it get dragged down, or does it drag everything else up, is what we're going to want to watch for very closely. Now, that would put us at day 15, 16, 17, right, day 18, and Wednesday will be starting day 19. So we're not very early in the daily cycle. That's important to be aware of, but we are clearly holding higher lows, just to be clear, right? That's a higher low. That's a little higher low. And now this was a warning because that's a lower low, right? And all the indices did this. But now we've made a higher high. And so it's like, okay, this is okay. You kind of look at this whole cluster here as a higher low compared to this. And that's how it works. In hindsight, you can give things more of the benefit of the doubt if they go on to make a higher high. And that's why you have to be nimble. So that's really exciting. I'd say the Dow is one to watch in terms of leading things, or if it's going to get pulled down, of course. So that's your lay of the land for the broader markets. Definitely take a look at the links in the description for specifics, like a deep dive on gold, uranium, the Dixie. Definitely important to see how those assets are trending, but I will say the direction of this broader market is definitely going to highly correlate with the trajectory for those other things. So that's the rundown. Thanks for watching.